What is going on, guys? You are tuning in to the Striven Entrepreneur Show, where we focus on helping every entrepreneur to stay driven, to consistently strive for success, to build their businesses that they're deeply passionate about. Why? Because we've all been there. This crazy emotional roller coaster of a ride that is entrepreneurship. So join us as we break down this journey, simplify the steps to success, share stories of adversity and overcoming it, staying grounded and aligned with yourself and your business to build the brand that brings you joy and fulfillment as well as value to others. All right. Welcome. This is episode number 2. The 2 missing pieces for making consistent progress and accelerating your success when building your business, part 1. So the second missing piece will come next week. Just before we get started, so I am going away to DC as of Thursday. So if you have been tuning into the Growing Through the Tech show on Thursdays, that is going to be happening tomorrow at 7 p.m. So just to let you guys know that in advance. Additionally, I am in dire need of a haircut and a shave, which is happening tomorrow. So when I come on tomorrow, I'll be looking all fresh and so clean. Sorry, I'm a loser. So in this show, we're going to be talking about the first thing that I found to be so paramount in helping me as well as others start to accelerate and continually make progress when growing their business, when building their brand that they're passionate about. All right. And to start off, it's important to see where I was at before. All right, because it wasn't a pretty place. And I've talked about this a couple of times in one of the other episodes. And the reason is because you learn the most from failure. You learn the most when things are difficult. You learn the most when things aren't going the way you want. So I'm sorry if I kind of harp on some of these times a little bit through the show. But so how I approached working on my business before, I made this change and I found this missing piece, was I would essentially come home, I would sit down, and I would start working on kind of whatever was in my mind to work on that day. I was approaching success by kind of how everyone else was telling me this is how you get it. It wasn't like I came in with a plan and I came in knowing exactly what I wanted to do. I would have new input from this noise source. I'd have new input from this noise source. And I would just follow that because I saw it as they're the ones that are successful, not me, so they must know better. And doing that for a long time, I was so overwhelmed. I felt like I had to do every single thing possible that was, mentioned or written about in a blog or a video or interview. I felt compelled to have to do these things because these successful people were telling me that this is what you need to do for success. And I was being pulled in every single direction possible, starting to do a podcast, starting to do live videos, transcribing each one, trying to build funnels, doing email marketing, doing social media on 5 different platforms and more and so on, like content building, everything. And it's just starting off, it was way too much. And I was trying to do all these different strategies and tactics and looking at all these softwares that people were telling me I should use. And it was just mind-numbing, to say the least. I was completely overwhelmed and lost. I did this for about 5-6 months, and I had a complete lack of results. My sales didn't go up from a previous company. When I started Striven Life for the first 2 months, things weren't going great because I didn't really know what I was doing yet. And I was honestly just lost in regards to what I was doing and why I was doing it. And when you're in that place, and I know some of you guys are either there now or have been there before, and sometimes we end up back there when things get a little hectic. But you just have to know that there is a way out of this. This isn't final. You're not going to be stuck in this stage forever. And there's a way out. All right. And so when I started to get so kind of like fed up, like I was done. I talked about this in a previous episode. I let all this noise influence what I was doing. And I started to look back at what I've done in my past. Like I was looking at these people as saying they're successful, but didn't I reach success in other aspects of my life prior? So I looked back and I looked at these two things. First one was powerlifting. I was a competitive powerlifter for 5 years. And the second thing was my college career. In powerlifting, I don't want to brag, but I'll brag a little bit. I had competed in only 2 competitions. In the first one I ever competed in, I took 3rd place in my weight class. And the second one I ever competed in, I took 1st place in my weight class. I set records for the organization that I was competing in for my age group and my weight group. I had a 495-pound squat, I had a 505-pound deadlift, and a 365-pound bench press. And how I got to that point wasn't like, oh, I'll just go in and do whatever I feel like in the gym today. I had a systematic approach to success in the gym. So let's say, for example, maybe my bench was struggling. I wanted to get that up a little bit higher to compete with other people. So I would structure a program so that every day that I came in, I knew exactly what weights I was going to be doing, how many reps for each set, how long were they taking breaks in between? Is there anything else happening in this workout? Like, am I doing, supersetting or drop sets and all these other things? These are different tactics and ways to improve your strength. And then what I would do is I'd go and I would try to set my new PR, 4, 6, 8 weeks out from starting that systematic plan to reach that goal. And if I was struggling, so for example, if I'm benching, sorry, this is gonna look weird, and I'm benching and I get stuck halfway and I can't lock it out, I can't get to the top of the lift, what that then does is tell me that my triceps are the problem. They're not strong enough to lock out that part of the lift. And so I would go back to the drawing board and say, okay, I need to keep doing this, but additionally add in stuff to improve the strength of my triceps and the explosiveness of this lift in order to reach that higher weight. And that is how I approached every single workout, and that's how I got to the peak of my athletic life. I'm definitely not there anymore, but that is how I approached every single aspect of working out and powerlifting and competing. On top of that, you took diet and nutrition into example, and it was the same way. I ate specific foods at specific times for specific purposes, and all of them had metrics that allowed me to measure that progress. In college education is a little bit different. You can't measure it so fine-tunedly because there's so many different things happening in every single class, and they all are scored differently and all this stuff. But I would set my goals for my classes. I would identify, when am I going to be working on learning about information for this class? When am I going to be working on the assignments that are due this week? When am I going to go see a tutor or go see the teacher for support? And I would identify all these things and make sure that I was doing them. And that's how I ended up graduating in the top, I think it was 10% or 5% of my class with a biology degree from Emmanuel College. And it was this systematic approach that I used in the past, and I said, wait, this is how I approached success before. Why can't I just do it now too? And so I started. From the very first day, I felt more confident moving forward because I knew I was building a plan. And I knew if I followed that plan, I was going to learn, is this plan working? Is it not? If it's not, what can I do to improve it? And if you follow on that trajectory at all times, you're going to consistently make progress and accelerate your success. Because every time something doesn't work out, you then think of a new idea of how to improve upon that. That simple, right? And the best part was that there's no fancy bells and whistles on this systematic approach. There's no monthly payments for some fancy ass software. And it's not even overly complex. It just took a little bit of time, effort, planning, and creativity in order to make it and start using it. And when I started using it in Striven Life, I immediately started to see growth. I started finding increasing engagement and started finding some loyal followers, right? That I've now have as clients. And that's how it started to work. So just to kind of give a brief, simplified explanation of my approach to success and using a system in order to do that. All right, so let's say we're talking about this from a business perspective because this is the entrepreneur show. So at first, you can't think of your business as one massive thing. You have to break that down into little spots, little pieces. I typically call them, like, I'll break them down into things like, brand visibility, email marketing, social media, whatever else you do, content creation, maybe it's your Facebook group, YouTube, whatever. Okay. And then I identify the metrics that show growth in those categories. Right. So now everything below those categories, I can then break down into what I like to call pillars. And the pillars are the main things that you can focus on for right now, that you decide to focus on in order to grow and try to achieve those goals and raise those metrics up for those individual categories. Then you take those pillars and you say, okay, what is the overall goal with this? Break it down, identify the metrics, and then break that down into small, simplified tasks that are not overwhelming, that don't seem too complex, that you can do, and break them down as much as you possibly can. What is everything you explicitly have to do? Is this a weekly task? Is this a one-off task you're only going to do once? Is it a task that you're going to be doing 1 week a month? Is it something that has to happen every day? What? Identify it. And then set that plan and start dragging these actions into your schedule where you work, right? I mean, everyone should have some sort of master schedule, whether it's Google Calendar or I use a spreadsheet, in all honesty. And you just drag and drop these actions in, and then you measure your growth in building that pillar, and you measure your growth in achieving the goals for the overall category, right? So for example, I set the same thing up and I said, I'm going to show other people how I'm doing this with my business. And my first post for this is going to be going on Medium on sometime next week. And so what I did is that I need to gain more visibility of my brand in order to share my message, to get followers, to engage them, to be able to give them value, these things that I want to share with the world, the things that I'm passionate about. So I broke it down and I started off with this first set of tasks. And I even drew a little image on a whiteboard showing all the different things and how they're going to connect back to this one concept of this one category of brand visibility. So I took brand visibility, which is only one part of my company, and I broke it down into 5 pillars, right? Yeah, 5 pillars. Sorry, had to think. And the first pillar was launching the Facebook live show of the Striven Entrepreneur. The second was the Facebook live show of the Striven You. And the third one was growing through the text Facebook live show. So increasing the amount of times I'm here, putting out content, putting out value, and delivering that to other people is going to raise my visibility. Okay, and it's also going to allow me to target specific groups of people by doing so. And if people like what I put out and they enjoy the show and they enjoy the value and they take it in and they want to find more, I'm giving them other ways they can start getting engaged and getting involved with Striven Life, right? The 2 other categories first one was guest posting on podcasts. So I decided that I'm going to batch guest posting 1 week a month, where I'm just going to spend 2 hours a day on identifying podcasts to reach out to and trying to put myself out there and show that I can bring value to their audience, right? And if I get onto those shows, even if I apply to 60 of them or I apply to 30 in that 1 week and I only get accepted on 2, that's great. I can always check back in with those people that said no the first time. And then the next month, I'll reach out to another 30. You're going to keep getting yeses. And getting onto those shows build me brand visibility. And the 5th one was Medium. Starting to document the process that I take, the growth, the journey, completely unique content on Medium that's going to be happening that isn't going to be on strivenlife.com. Showing people what I do every day and how I'm doing it and how I'm setting goals and reaching them. And there are other people in there too writing and doing the exact same thing. Telling you their story of their journey, of their self-development and their improvement. And so then I took those 5 pillars, and I've already explained a little bit, but then I broke all of those down into small tasks. Like I think for each one, I had at least 10 to 20 tasks for each one, and identified the metrics to see, for this show, I'm going to measure the amount of likes, shares, engagements, comments, etc. Same thing for each of the 3 shows, and identify how does this increase my Facebook page following? How does it increase the Facebook group members? All these other aspects of my business, all revolving around the category of brand visibility, right? It isn't hard. It's just you have to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to make a plan right now. And you're going to make it with some goddamn confidence, right? Believe in yourself. It's a plan. It's either going to work. It's either going to not work a little bit, or work really well. And either way, if you do it and you move forward and you identify the metrics, you're going to find out. And then you can make the pivot decisions to say, what do I have to change to continually improve this? All right. And that's like a simplified explanation of how I started to approach success. And it worked for me, but I had to know, does it work for other people? Does the way I process success, how I perceive the process to get success and achieve new things, does it work for everybody else too? And so what I did is I took on 4 clients that I coached for a month for free. One of them is a mother. I think she's like about 28, 29. I'll be doing a show actually about her completely for the Striven in a week or 2, I believe. But essentially, we started simple, and we said we wanted to build habits of daily exercise. So we did that. We built out a habit. We set out actionable tasks that she's going to do, and we made a schedule, and we put those into those tasks. She started, and in 3 weeks, she's lost 5 pounds just by doing this one thing of simply taking 15 to 20-minute walks directly after dinner with her family. So not only is she getting the exercise, but she's getting more engagement, more time away from technology and just with each other, move forward. And she said she wanted to write a book. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's figure this out. And so we took that 1-hour call. We broke down what do you want to write about? How are we going to approach this? How can we take writing a book, something that seems so daunting of a task, and simplify it and make it in a way that she can start doing it now and putting it out there and getting feedback and getting, opinions from other people and seeing if it connects with other people. And it doesn't have to be the final version, right? And so she's doing that on Medium now. She's already written 2 stories that are going to go with her first 2 chapters of her book. And she's going to build it out more later on, but this is the process, and she's doing it, and she's taking the steps, and she's already making progress towards building out, making her first book. And then we can keep going with the same girl because she's phenomenal and she's kicking all ass like every day. But the second client was another girl, but this is a previous student of mine, 14 or 15 years old. And she came to me saying that she wanted to make a business or a blog, fashion design and fashion all together. And so as a 14 or 15-year-old, we started it. Now her site is almost finished. She knows what type of content she wants to make. She has a plan for creating new content. She has a plan for taking new and really, impressive photographs and pictures to put onto her site to show fashion design. She's drawing daily, time set aside daily for her to draw and sketch new designs. Okay. It has only been 3.5 weeks, and she's already done all of that. And we're just getting started. Okay. And another client, she came to me with just this long life issue of never being able to feel organized or structured. And we started off with one simple task. Again, one simple goal. Let's start interacting with your daily calendar and condensing all the calendars you have, like for your work, your business, and your personal life into one. So we set time aside every single day, 10 to 15 minutes to look over her calendars, to put them all together, to make sure there's no conflicts, and remind herself what she's going to have to do the next day. Now, it wasn't as simple as saying, let's just do that. We had to do some starting tasks to kind of figure out, why she struggled with this. how was the best way for us to approach this to ensure she finds that time to sit down and do it. And we built that out. She started doing it. She started to feel a little more confident. And then without me even having the next call, she started organizing all of her paperwork into files and folders and labeling them. She was overcoming and becoming confident in the fact that she is capable of doing these things. So I was ecstatic when these things were happening. And I talked about this on the Striven show yesterday. And the feeling when you see someone start to really flip that switch and start to become really confident and know that they can start to achieve more than they thought they could before, which is the exact same thing I went through, right? I don't want to make it seem like I'm talking like, oh, these people were a lot like, no, these are great people. I know a lot of these people personally, and I was in that same place. But once we started approaching our growth and approaching our success and switching our mindset around a little bit, it all became so much simpler. It all became so much more feasible. It wasn't overwhelming. All that like pulling in all these different directions was gone because I knew what to focus on, because I had a systematic approach. It built me a plan and I followed it to a damn T. And as we move forward and as we continue forward, it's just about, all right, how else can I improve this plan for this one category of this business? All right. I did this for the first 1 to 2 weeks. I will keep doing these actions over and over again, but now I really want to start working on this category. So for example, for me, I've been doing brand visibility, and another aspect of brand visibility is social media. And I've identified that I really need to step up my game in regards to social media. And so this next week, I'm going to be building out my plan for social media. How am I going to approach it? Am I going to be using a software? Am I just going to be doing it all on my own? How am I going to be putting out content? What form of the content going to be? How am I going to, put myself out there? What kind of persona is it going to be? All that stuff. I'm going to build it out in a plan. I'm going to start implementing. I'm going to measure the growth. And that's it. You learn so much more by doing. And if you really get stuck, that's when, like I said in episode 1, you turn on the noise specifically to the question you are stuck on. How do I do X, Y, or Z? Or what's the process to do A, B, or C? Turn on the noise. Get that information in a certain allotted time. Shut it off. Review it and implement it into your plan. Continue forward, accelerating your success to build your business. All right. Now, that was part 1. Next week on the Striven Entrepreneur Show, again, it will be on Tuesday, 7 p.m. EST. I hope to see y'all there. We're going to be doing the 2 missing pieces for making consistent progress and accelerating your success when building your business, part dose. All right. That has been it for me, Nick Rizzo, strivenlife.com, and I will talk to y'all later.